Welcome to How to Hire Kick-Ass Security Sales Talent who will make you millions. This is our first webinar from SalesFit. I've done several videos that I've posted on LinkedIn and also on our YouTube channel, SalesFit Talent. And while the videos touch on these subjects because they're only 1 to 2 minutes, you also only get 1 to 2 takeaways you can use in your business. But for this webinar, we're going to explore 4 elements necessary to making a great sales hire. And I'll tell you, it's not easy, but with what I'm going to show you today, this will make it a whole lot easier for you. Now, I'm Kathy Hammond, CEO of SalesFit Staffing Solutions, and I am really excited today to be able to share some really great information with all of you. So let's get started. Caliper Corporation, an employment testing company with a terrific sales assessment, conducted a study of 15,000 salespeople. They discovered that 55% had no selling ability. 25% were selling the wrong product or service. And only the remaining 20% had sales ability and were selling the right product or service. Now, this is significant because in almost every sales organization, and that would include yours if you have salespeople, 80% of your sales staff is not able to do what you need, namely sell. Now, the cost to organizations is staggering. So today, you will learn how to find and engage candidates, write winning job descriptions and job posts, how to vet candidates by asking the right questions, and how to design a competitive compensation strategy. Okay, finding and engaging candidates. Now, this is a two-pronged process. Once you find good candidates, you have to start thinking like a salesperson, like what do you need to do and say to get them interested in you? But for finding candidates, there are a few sources. So you have employee referrals, LinkedIn, public job boards, like Indeed, Monster, Career Builder. You have association job boards, and in the security industry, you have AS's Career, SIA, ESA for electronic security, and then CSAAUL for the central station folks. There's also social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So these are some of the avenues that you can take for finding candidates. Now, first, let's talk about employee referrals. Did you know that employees referred by another employee are a better cultural fit than if coming from another source? That they stay longer with the company? That they deliver a higher return on investment? And this is surprising. Referred employees refer at least one other person to their current company. But this doesn't just happen. You have to put a program in place, and this involves incentivizing employees to refer people. Now, the best way to find out what would motivate your employees to refer people? Ask them. Ask them what it would take. Do they want money? Do they want a day off? It's worth a discussion with your employees to find out what would really motivate them to recommend people to your organization. Whatever program you do select, keep it simple. You can't have a lot of hoops for employees to jump through in order to receive the reward. And then the reward, that means being really specific in what they're going to receive, the conditions in which they'll receive it, and lastly, make sure you're a company where people really do want to work so they'll feel good about referring others. Now, another way to find employees is on LinkedIn. Now, this is very easy for the security industry because there is a security and investigations category you can search in LinkedIn, with the majority of salespeople in the industry listing this category in their profile. It's not the same in other industries where they could be a crossover, and employees, of course, get to choose which one they want to be in. Now, LinkedIn also allows you to view their accomplishments and other information on their profile to determine if they are high performing. Now, do know that high-performing reps love to use any platform to demonstrate how well they do. Now, to connect with targeted candidates without having to buy LinkedIn Recruiter or Sales Navigator, although the latter I recommend every sales organization should have, all you have to do is click connect to that targeted candidate, and then you will get a little box that's going to pop up and give you an ability to send a message. Now, this is really important. You are only permitted 300 characters in a connection request message. So that means you need to be really succinct with what you're messaging to that candidate. So using a message like this offers some big advantages. Here we've addressed them by name. We tell them what we're hiring for, the type of company that we have and the size of the company by giving a dollar number, in the area that we're looking, what they have to do managing a 7-state region, their base salary, on target earnings, what benefits they're going to get, and then you ask, may I share more with you? Now, one, giving details up front will have disinterested prospects self-select out by not responding, or they'll only accept your connection request. And that's okay, because really what you're trying to do is save your time. Number two, there are no compensation surprises. If it doesn't fit their needs, they won't respond, or they'll just accept your connection request. But either way, it's like, why wait until later to discover that compensation is an issue? Number three, asking if they would like more information respects their time and is viewed as being less spammy of a message. If they ask for more, this also allows you to provide them with a job description, another opportunity for candidates to screen themselves out of your hiring process. So that by doing this allows you to, target like qualified candidates to really screen out unqualified or disinterested candidates and engage them respectfully. I mean, people are so used to getting hit up on LinkedIn for all kinds of things. And here, this is, you're showing them already who you are. I'd also like to add that if a candidate requests more information at that first contact, and then you don't hear back from them, contact them again to ask if they're still interested in talking with you, as anything could have distracted them. You really have to look at it this way. Engaging candidates is a sales job. As you would approach a prospective customer, you do the same with candidates and you employ the same sales process, which means you have to follow up, right? Now, for job boards, for public and industry or association boards, there are 100+ out there, probably considerably even more. So you have, the majors: Indeed, Career Builder, Monster, LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, Sales Gravy, Rainmakers, that's for technology, Sales Heads, industry job boards, like as what we talked about earlier. But I do want to make a note about Rainmakers, because Rainmakers is really for technology salespeople. However, because there's so much similarity in the job requirement and skill set in the security industry, as it is in technology, that the technology industry is going after the security people. And so here's another source. You can also do the same. You can go after technology people because they're going to possess a lot of the same skill sets that are going to be important to you. Now, there are some pros and cons, obviously, for job boards. It's time saving because in the, upfront, you're going to be able to put a, job post up there. And then the interested candidates, they'll find you from that. Relevant candidates, will come more from the industry or association. And job boards on that, because they're seeking something specifically in the industry. Now, the cons are on the public sites like Indeed, Monster, Career Builder. They found that 23% of the people that apply for the jobs are relevant to your needs. So that's really important. But it also makes it, that it's time consuming for you, because you have to weed through all of those irrelevant candidates as well to find the relevant ones. Job boards can also be expensive, especially if you're posting across several of them. You also have social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Post your job opening on all of these if you have accounts. For LinkedIn, have everyone in your company who has a LinkedIn profile post on their feed that you're hiring and provide them with information about the job. You can also create an informal 1 to 2 minute video about the job and your company and post it on YouTube if you have a channel, or even in your LinkedIn feed. So the point here is that there are a lot of outlets you can use to get the word out about your opening. However, because you don't want to deal with a flood of irrelevant resumes, this next section can actually help with this. So job descriptions, job posts. Now, a job description serves a different purpose than a job post. It doesn't mean you can't have one document for two purposes. It just means that for job descriptions, you have to capture information that you would not have to in a job post. First, job descriptions are a great management tool. It forces you to think through what the employee needs to accomplish, what they have to do to realize that accomplishment, and the knowledge, skills, abilities, and education required to perform the job well. This also sets the expectations for the employee. The goal with the job description really is to remove any ambiguity as to why that employee is being hired. Now, the job description can also be used in the event you have to fire someone for failure to perform to the job description, supporting your cause for termination. We've seen over the years, and I have in business in general, where you have a pretty vague job description that doesn't really hold anyone accountable for delivering specific results. So that an employee can argue that it was, unjust, termination, because it now becomes subjective. It's just your opinion. And this is where a job description can really help. Now, the job description is also a legal document that you can rely upon should any termination land you in court. That's why they're very important. Now, by contrast, a job post is advertising, just like these. Of course, it's election day today, November 3rd, so I had to keep with the theme, on this for the presentation today. Now, job post, though, while not held to the same standard as a job description, the job post intends to elicit or evoke good energy, about your company and the job itself. So here's a typical job post that you will find on almost any job board. They all seem to kind of like follow this same formula, even though the formula is not doing what it needs to do. So this one, it lays out what the employee will be required to do. It also lays out what they need to possess to do these things, the experience, the skill set, and so on. And a whole 4 bullet points of what the employee will receive. Inspiring, right? Well, you know what? There's a better, more compelling way. Now, this will take some time to write, but we have found that when using this format in job descriptions and job posts, we attract more quality candidates. So let's take a look. First, you're talking about their future. And who is everyone's favorite subject? That's right, ourselves. Second, this is the part that tells them what the job is and the very specific measurements to determine if they're going to be successful on the job. But it's written like how you would speak with them if you were face to face. Their defenses come down when they're reading it, and candidates can evaluate if they truly can and want to do these tasks. Here you can also add, very specific things like make 100 cold calls per day or week, set up 2 sales appointments per week, etc. You have a lot of room, but it's how you're going to measure their success on the job. Third, now we tell them what they need to possess to get the job. Like in this case, 3 years sales experience selling to mid and large companies in a larger territory. You notice it's not like that exhaustive list of, what you need to have, as was in the previous one. Fourth, and this is the really fun part, you get to tell them why they would want the job and what makes your company the right choice. To give you an example of this, I have one of our clients has what they say is a legendary Christmas party, holiday party every year. We included that information in this section of the job description, and which was also the job post in some cases. And we, and the people that we interviewed, that, after they had read all of this, nearly every single person they remarked on that. And it warmed things up for them about the employer. It told them more about, like, they're celebratory, they do for their employees, and as appreciation and so on. So include things like that. I mean, do you guys, get together? Do you have a bowling tournament, where you really, great competition and stuff, talk about things like that. And you can put that in a job description as well, so you don't have to do twice the work. Fifth and finally, reiterate the requirements that you need and welcome them to contact you. You're inviting them into your organization. It's a very human approach, and we do a human approach because we're dealing with humans. So this has been, a really powerful tool that we employ for our clients. So, vetting candidates. The right questions are the foundation for evaluating the right fit for your company. Sadly, many companies prefer ridiculous interview questions that are meaningless in evaluating candidate fitness. Like, how would you design a spice rack for the blind? What would you choose for your last meal? How many balloons would fit in this room? How many bricks are there in Shanghai? Consider only residential buildings. If you were shrunk to the size of a pencil and put in a blender, how would you get out? Now, these are actual questions companies are using in interviewing. Aside from having zero scientific basis for, evaluating candidate fitness, the only thing this really is accomplishing are candidates seeing just how ridiculous an employer is behaving when they use these questions. So, we ask, all right, so what's the better way? Ask the right questions. And it's really much simpler than you might imagine. First, at each employer on their resume, ask them to describe a major accomplishment. Now, because they would be interviewing for a sales role, and you could use this really too for, other roles as well, but, our focus is sales, so we always talk everything sales. But because they would be interviewing for a sales role, the accomplishment should be sales related. Now, occasionally they'll answer something unrelated, like my children, or getting my master's, climbing Mount Everest. Though the last two, especially Mount Everest, as I would love to hear about that, those kinds of things do provide insight into a candidate's drive. So that gives you some good information. Now, for the rest of the salespeople who haven't been, scaling Mount Everest, they should really describe a sales conquest, because you can't stop a great salesperson from telling you what an amazing job they did on this or that account, or how they crushed quota. So once they've done that, then you ask, how did you do it? Now, personally, I love telling people exactly how I won an account, because, I thought I was pretty clever and want to share just how clever I was in doing it. And I also think that everybody is going to be just riveted by all the details. Well, they aren't, but prospective employers are. So what are you looking for in there? And what you're looking for in their answer is, like, what actions did they take? because sales, yeah, did they cold call? Did they stalk the prospect? Send them a cake? Actually did that once. They're showing actions, things that they're willing to do and have done in order to move the needle on the prospect. For collaboration, you're looking for their ability to collaborate with the team. How well did they work with others in the organization to bring in the sale? Though salespeople, we tend to think, it's all us that did it. We do know it takes a team to fulfill an order. And so you're looking for information about, like, how did they, collaborate with their team members to get things done. Leadership. Did they take charge, or did they wait to be told by others what needed to be done? You need a salesperson who's going to be driving the sales process. That means they need to take a leadership role. Resources. Did they commandeer the appropriate human and other resources to make sure the sale went through? Now, to give you an idea of this, many years ago, I worked for a national central station as their national sales director. I assembled the team of people at my company who would be managing this prospect's business if we were to win the business. I had each team member speak about how their department would touch that prospect's business and what we did differently to ensure everything was handled correctly. Especially when talking alarm monitoring, where we would take, if I want an account from where they were with another central station and had to move their line over to our central station, the phone lines over, this was, things could happen in that time that it took to move from one central station to the other. This required, really strong collaboration, really, leveraging, the resources, things that, everything that we had in order to be able to make, prospects feel confident that we wouldn't drop a single alarm signal during that move. So all of that was very critical. And then also how we would handle everything going forward with their account. So once you have this information, you now compare the information they gave you, to what needs to happen on your job. So say you need cold calling, look for that. Look for evidence of that. You need the rep to take charge, look for evidence of that as well. Anything that you need evidence of, in how they did it, when they describe how they did it, that's what you're looking for, all that evidence to support these 4 critical areas in order to get the sale through. Excuse me. So here it is in action on how, like, embedding candidates. So say they said a major accomplishment is selling $1 million in the first 6 months. Okay. So you ask how they do it. In this case, they're demonstrating. They made 75 cold calls a day. They coordinated with the marketing department. They led the team and developed a proposal. They leveraged case studies, to be able, as part of the resources, in order to do that. So it's showing, the actions taken, the internal collaboration, the leadership, taking control of the process and utilizing the right resources to make the sale. Again, now you compare these to what you need to have them do to be successful on the job. Pretty simple, right? So, compensation. All right, compensation. First, it's not about money. It's about using money to motivate. So, really important to understand this principle. So let's look at what needs to be considered in designing a compensation strategy. And that's what this is. Compensation is a means to attract and retain top talent. But, you have to consider a lot of other elements, such as your industry, in this case, security, all right? The sales size, what is the average ticket size, the contract size? How large of a territory do they have to manage? The sales cycle, is a long sales cycle, is a short sales cycle, or something in between. The sale complexity. When you're talking about, like how many decision makers are involved in the process, because you're looking at the skill set that's going to be required in order to be able to manage all of these elements. Then you look at, like where are they located, and the cost of living. I mean, obviously somebody living in Kansas, would not necessarily have to have the same base salary as somebody who is living in Manhattan in New York. Then you also look at what the competitor compensation is. All of these have a bearing on the starting point of the compensation that you would be offering. Now, to get a competitive view, you can and should ask candidates about their compensation expectations. But be careful not to ask them about what they're currently earning, as that question is now illegal in many states. I mean, you can check your local, your own state for those requirements. Besides, it doesn't have any bearing. What they earned before doesn't have any bearing on your situation, as no other company is identical to yours. So, but you can also look at salary.com. Now, salary.com is a great free online tool that allows you to input parameters to see what is competitive for that role in a specific geographical area. Indeed.com also has an online salary calculator, not as robust as salary.com, but you can use each of these is just a piece of the puzzle to be able to help you make the best decision. You can also look on LinkedIn and other job boards, look at the ads out there in the job posts in the area that you're hiring, and for a similar sales level job and all of that, where the job post contains compensation information. That'll also give you an idea of what your competitors are paying, or what they're willing to pay. But a compensation strategy can be so much more than just salary and commission. Okay, you can include bonus, health insurance, life insurance, disability insurance, paid time off, a cell phone, auto allowance, company car, trips, conferences, professional development, recognition events, personal days, overachievement, and my personal favorite, no cap on commissions. On something to give you an idea, for recognition, even another large alarm company national alarm company where I was selling for them, national sales director, and they had a quarterly. They called it a quarterly sales meeting, but it really was a quarterly recognition event, and they would go all out. I mean, they, would release, space at a hotel banquet room, and they would, fully catered everything just so fantastic. And they would bring people up, and celebrate them for different things that they had done throughout that quarter, making quota. They had special contests, and they would give away plaques and money. And I mean, just really made it, a big deal. And of course, at the once a year, they would do the 100% club, and if you made 100% of your quota or more, they'd send you, jet you off to the Ritz-Carlton in Maui or some really nice place. So when looking at all of this and a lot of other benefits as well, but I mean, in looking at that, you start weighing that things like salary isn't as the most critical piece of the puzzle here. This is something you can start leveraging all these different things that you can do. but the point really is really find what motivates the candidate that you want to hire, and then craft a package exclusively for them. You know, perhaps they'll take less salary of giving them more PTO. Maybe you want to pay their health insurance, premiums. Of course, certainly cover their cell and auto expenses. But would a company car sweeten the deal, and at a lower cost than increasing salary? Sometimes, we've found that as well. Doing a lease vehicle is less expensive than actually, increasing their salary. There's not a one size fits all compensation strategy, but one thing is certain, as is been discovered in a multitude of studies, salespeople perform better when the sales commission plan is simple. There are no caps on what they can earn in commissions, and receiving overachievement bonuses or an extra commission kick when exceeding their quotas. So the benefit really is to you. That drives them more with those additional elements. And of course, this means really good business for you as well. Now, here's an example of how to reduce your wage and tax burdens while giving an employee what is more important to them. Let's say your standard job offer looks something like this and includes a 15-day per year PTO allowance. And let's say your employee has a kid that's involved in a sports travel league, and additional time off is more important, or would be more important, than maybe a bit of a larger salary. Now, bear in mind, we're talking about salespeople here. And with salespeople, they have the ability, especially when they're motivated, to generate more income, but they may not have the ability to generate more time off. So now you're looking at what's going to, to motivate them. So here's how it would look offering an additional week of PTO with a $5,000 a year decrease on salary. What's interesting, now say the commissions, of course, if the commissions are remaining the same, it's because they're selling the same and for less money on the base, and your taxes and benefits, of course, are less, right? And your total overall burden is 127, much less than the 132. Now, this could be a real win-win because the employee gets the time off they would love to have, and you save $6,250 a year without sacrificing revenue for that. And like I said, a really great salesperson makes up the money difference, but it's about finding out what is important to the employee. So I really thank you, so much for, for spending time with me today on this. And if there are, if you have any other additional questions or anything else, we'll have that after this concludes. But you can always reach me at khammond@salesfitstaffing.com. My direct line is 714-733-5657. And I am, very happy to be able to provide any additional information to help you in finding the best talent for your organization. Thanks so much.